So Spring Anime 2025 is here, and I think I found what could be the best new anime of 2025. And would you believe me, but it's Chinese. To Be Hero X is a Chinese anime or Chinese donghua produced by Aniplex that is taking the anime world by storm. Yeah, I apologize, China. Apparently I was not familiar with your game. While at the time of recording, this anime is only one episode in, it has generated some pretty massive hype as well as some positive reviews with its insane animations and blending of artistic styles. To Be Hero X currently sitting with a 8.5 on my anime list with just one episode aired at the time of recording, making it, at least so far, one of the highest rated animes of the entire year. So join me today as we discuss what is most likely the best Chinese anime of all time, what could possibly be the best new anime of 2025, To Be Hero X. The last kind of 5, maybe more years, we've really seen the rise of animated content from around the world, particularly in South Korea with the popularization of Korean manhwa or Korean webtoons. Think of an anime like Solo Leveling, which released last year, really putting kind of South Korea on the map as the kind of new up-and-coming force within the anime world, the animation world. Now, though, it seems like China, of all countries, is wanting to get in on the action with the release of To Be Hero X, a Chinese donghua, Chinese anime produced by the legendary anime studio Aniplex. Aniplex producing some of the best and most popular anime of all time in Bleach, Gintama, Full Metal Alchemist, and of course, the aforementioned Solo Leveling. Now, I'll be completely honest with you guys, I am pretty ill-informed when it comes to the anime, the animation landscape in China, or Chinese donghua. Forgive my ignorant American ass if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Obviously, I know that, like, animated works are made within China. China has its own very vast kind of media landscape. As again, China is pretty extreme when it comes to, what shall we say, the censoring and monitoring of what content that their citizens and young people consume. As a number of very high-profile anime like Attack on Titan, Death Note, Tokyo Ghoul, Psycho-Pass, along with many, many others, are either banned or heavily censored in China. So then from a Chinese government point of view, I guess, it does make a lot of sense why they would want to create their own kind of animation business that they can strictly regulate, specifically regulate how much violence or adult themes are within these animated works. Hence the rise of Chinese animation studios, the concept of Chinese donghua, Chinese anime. Now, there are loads of these Chinese anime out there, but almost none of them really, at least to my knowledge, have been able to kind of break into the mainstream anime audience around the world until now. Enter To Be Hero X. In a world of brilliant heroes, it's the trust of their fans that make them into superheroes. If the people believe that a man can fly, he will fly. If a hero loses the people's trust, he loses his special abilities. Trust value is collected and quantified and used to determine a hero's rank. Every 2 years, a tournament is held to choose the top heroes. Their performance in the tournament determines their new trust values and their ranking. The absolute hero with the highest rank, his name is X. Now, immediately after I first heard about this anime, I was like, oh shit, it's Chinese My Hero Academia. But wow, was I was very wrong. To Be Hero X is a kind of anthology animated series with several episodes revolving around different top heroes in the To Be Hero X universe. By anthology, what I mean is it is a collection of stories. There is no one singular main character that we are following throughout multiple seasons. To Be Hero X has multiple main characters and a series of episodes telling much shorter stories and then moving on to another hero, and the cycle continues with different main characters telling different kind of shorter stories. For example, the first 4 episodes of To Be Hero X covered the story Nice and the main character Linling. Linling, we learn in episode 1, is a young, bright-eyed, hero-obsessed man who believes in the ideal that any person could rise to become a hero. We see that he works for an advertising agency that promotes products using these heroes, specifically the hero Nice. Yes, the hero's name is Nice. This will get a little confusing. However, Linling's life suddenly changes when he is fired from his job. As we see him precariously standing atop a building, cursing Nice and his fake image, he is shocked when he sees the hero himself walking towards him, only to be left completely dumbfounded as he watched the hero steps off a 10-story building, falling to the ground, dying. Linling is then suddenly surrounded by the hero's agent and brand manager, who wants to cover up the death of this megastar hero, hatching a plan to have Linling take Nice's place and have no one be the wiser, dyeing his hair white and dressing him up in Nice's outfit, coaching him on how to become this hero. Over time and with some training, Linling actually begins to transform into the hero Nice. As again, in the world of 2B Hero X, heroes' powers are gained through the belief in them by the people. In a similar way, it kind of reminds me how the powers of like divinity, the power of the gods, work in something like Dungeons and Dragons, where in Dungeons and Dragons, gods derive power from the faith and prayers and worship of their followers. Meaning that in Dungeons and Dragons, should a god lose worshippers or followers, they will lose their divine powers. This being similar in 2B Hero X, as should the superheroes lose the faith from the people, then that hero will ultimately lose their abilities and superpowers. Which seemingly is exactly what happened to Nice here when we watch him plummet to his death. Only for Linling to be thrust into his place, the young man being obsessed with superheroes actually managing to convince the world, seemingly even Nice's girlfriend, a woman that Linling loves and admires, that he is truly Nice. And in many ways, he's not just playing the part of Nice, he truly becomes Nice. God, that just sounds so weird when the character's name is Nice. Linling actually truly becomes Nice, both physically and mentally. As the faith from the people grows, his eye color changes along with his voice, Linling even gaining Nice's powers. It kind of reminds me of like how in some like superheroes, Marvel and DC superheroes, the mantle of that hero is passed on from one person to another. Specifically, that the idea of the hero itself is much more than the man or woman that is behind the mask. For example, think of the multiple Green Lanterns, the multiple Spider-Mans, or Batmans, for example. Eventually, another lower-ranked hero tries to expose Linling as a phony Nice, but he ultimately thwarts him in the end, coming face-to-face with his old boss of the advertising agency, who apparently has gone full supervillain, crashing out hard. Linling harnessing the power of the faith that is put into him by Moon and by the people, accepting that he truly is a hero. This faith in himself giving him the ultimate strength to overcome this foe. Now, I haven't really touched on this yet in this video, but the animations in this anime are truly stunning. This is basically a prerequisite nowadays with modern anime in the age of MAPPA, if you will. You basically need to have banger animation quality to be viewed as a top anime to really be taken seriously, and 2B Hero X does not disappoint on this front. What makes the animations truly unique, though, in this anime is the blending of multiple different animation styles, similarly kind of to what Arcane does throughout seasons 1 and 2. 2B Hero X utilizing different animation studios to blend these animation styles together. For example, the default kind of style animation for 2B Hero X is this very rounded, extremely detailed, almost CGI-esque kind of style that to me resembles a lot of the Arcane style. Just like Arcane though, 2B Hero X regularly shifts into different animation styles, specifically this kind of classic comic book style of animation in the texture and the shading and how it mixes 2D and 3D elements. This style, at least in episode 1, being saved for moments of, very important storytelling or action scenes. Again, this gives me like mega Arcane vibes. I think specifically back to that Jinx and Echo fight from season 1 in how Arcane kind of flips between these different animation styles and uses this comic book animation style to really kind of highlight the dramatic moment and the dramatic effect. 2B Hero X doing a similar thing here in episode 1, and it is executed absolutely beautifully. Again, there are 3 different animation styles, Chinese animation studios, all working together on this project. PB Animation, Land Studio, and Paper Plane Animation Studio. And I really gotta give credit where credit is due. They created some absolutely stunning pieces of animation here, coming from 3 studios who I have never heard of up until, well, today. And if this is the type of quality and the type of kind of animation styles that we should be expecting to see throughout the entirety of To Be Hero X, then we are in for quite a treat, folks. Episode 1 of Nice ultimately ends off in a very dramatic cliffhangery fashion. After defeating the supervillain, Ling Ling travels to the Hero's Tower, the home of the heroes. We see that Moon, Nice's girlfriend, is already waiting for him fast asleep in their bed. Again, Nice and Moon having been dating for some time now, setting up this kind of cute comedic scene where Ling Ling, who again is a complete fanboy and is head over heels in love with Moon, carefully tucks her in, only for him to turn around in horror and shock with the big reveal of episode 1 that she is left bloody and dead, someone having murdered this superhero. So again, as I mentioned earlier, To Be Hero X is a kind of anthology episodic anime that will run until September of this year, starting off with the story of Ling Ling and Nice that runs for the first 4 episodes from April 6th to April 27th. From there, the story will shift to a new hero, E-Soul, for 3 episodes, followed by Lucky Cyan for 3 episodes, Queen with 2 episodes, Lolly with 2 episodes, Ghostblade with 2 episodes, the Johnnies with 3 episodes, the Hero Tower with 1 episode, Dragon Boy with 2 episodes, Ahu with 1 episode, and finally finishing off with the number 1 hero, Hero X, with the final singular episode on September 14th, 2025. In total, that is 24 episodes of To Be Hero X over the next 6 months. Now, this is very obviously a very unique way to do a kind of season of anime, but honestly, I'm kind of here for it. I've been watching anime for a long time now, really since I was 10, so I get really excited anytime I get to see something new. I really appreciate when anime studios, or really any kind of creative people in general in media, take a risk and try to do something different, try to do something that really stands out. So again, credit where credit is due for To Be Hero X. Again, we're just 1 episode in at the time of recording, but just 1 episode in, this anime has really made quite the splash in the anime fandom. That being said though, I do have one noticeable issue specifically with episode 1 of To Be Hero X, and that is the pacing. The pacing of this episode was all fucking over the place. I mean, in the first 5 minutes of the show alone, we are given the backstory on the world, introduced to Ling Ling, Nice, and Moon as characters. Ling Ling gets fired, Nice jumps off a building, and then Ling Ling gets transformed into Nice. Now, I understand why the pacing was so chaotic, so fast-paced throughout this episode. I mean, it's kind of unavoidable when you are doing this kind of episodic, anthology series, trying to condense a full story down into 4 episodes. Naturally, this means that you are gonna have to pick up the pace, really. They basically had to speedrun the setup for this character for Nice and Ling Ling in order to lay the groundwork to really try to tell this story in its entirety over just 4 episodes. I mean, if this was a traditional anime and the traditional pacing of an anime, a classic shonen, those first 5 minutes would have probably been the entirety of episode 1. So then when you condense all of that down to 5 minutes, it does make the pacing feel absolutely bonkers. Now, I hope that this was just an issue with episode 1. Again, it's really hard to judge this show in its entirety when we are just 1 episode into this series. And again, this series being, kind of an anthology, you don't know what you're going to get when suddenly the story shifts to different characters. I really hope that this pacing issue is just limited to this episode, but even if it is a somewhat reoccurring problem later down the line, I think that everything else that this anime does well more than makes up for this one kind of minor relative issue. From its very intriguing story to its absolutely stunning animations, a banging soundtrack, and fun kind of quirky, very unique vibes, To Be Hero X not only could be the best Chinese anime, Chinese donghua of all time, it might just end up being the best new anime of 2025, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see when this show is all said and done in September. As always, guys, with these videos, these are just my thoughts and opinions, so feel free to let me know yours in the comment section down below. Have you watched episode 1 of To Be Hero X? If so, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section. If you did enjoy this video or learn something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as that is the easiest way to support me, and it really does go a long way in putting these videos into the algorithm. If you did enjoy this video, then why don't you check out some of my other anime content on screen now. And as always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, Adu.